You are listening to the BlahCade Pinball Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Freebus, aka Shut Your Trap. Joining me as always, halfway around the world, Jared Morgan.
Hello, everybody.
Jared, I am noticing here something different right off the top of this podcast, and that is you seem to be staring directly into the camera, and you have something very similar to what I have in front of your mouth. Look at that!
Yes, I do. I decided to go all in and get a proper mic setup for the podcast, and I take it sounds better. I don't know.
No, it sounds really good. But did you move your camera? Were you using the camera on your laptop prior, or what?
Yes,
what
I
happened
was,
there?
and I went and got a Logitech C615 to put on top of my screen.
There you go.
So I'm not using the laptop anything anymore. I'm using the screen. It's just a better position.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just went and did it. Went and bought it.
Now it's like you're not looking down on me.
I was like, yeah, I know. Yes, no, it's better too. It's more natural, and you need to do it when you've got one of these mics on a boom because they're fixed position, and you got to pretty much keep your position. Otherwise, it sounds weird.
Yeah, that is true indeed. So this is all fascinating to people that are only purely audio listeners and not YouTube watchers. But there you go.
Which is why you should go and take a look at the YouTube.
And specifically, I did something. We released the video and podcast basically in general of my conversation with Mel Kirk and Thomas Crofts and Akos Garricky from Zen. And I didn't want to just release the video without having any kind of conversation about it. And so I went ahead and did something new. I've never tried it before, but did this YouTube premiere thing. And it allowed me to type in my comments as the video was playing. Usually it's hard for me to type comments and talk at the same time like we try and do sometimes with the live podcast here.
Oh yeah, it's left-right brain thing. You can't do it.
Completely. So it was kind of fun to be able to do that and type them in. But what I was going to say is if you go check out, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just do that.
It's free.
It's free. And do that, and then you can find the podcast. It's episode number 164. And as the video is playing, my comments will pop up in real time as I was commenting.
Stream.
So that's something new. If I don't know, I maybe do that more often. Depends.
Yeah, you could add your own narrative to it. And then when eventually, the reason why you did that, of course, is because I still haven't done that interviews post-production yet because my weeks have been ridiculous. And I was telling Chris before the show that, yesterday I was planning to do that, but then didn't take into account how long it was going to take to build furniture. We got a big delivery of furniture. We decided to sort of update all of our furniture in the house because we had this mismatch of just weird colored furniture. You know how it is when you have kids? Mm-hmm. You acquire weird bits of furniture, and
that's right.
Nothing ever matches. So we thought, no, we're going to go and do that. But yeah, it literally took me, since 10:30 in the morning till about 6 at night to finish that job. So I'm very sore this morning.
Got the old hand cramps from doing all the fastening.
Not the hand cramps, it's the lower back cramps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just, and I've got like what is essentially a small size car worth of cardboard in the garage. I've had to actually park the car outside because it's literally, it looks like the Mazda, but in cardboard. It's that much cardboard.
Cardboard Ford time though, right?
Well, yeah, it's going to be cardboard cut down and then taken to the dump time. That's what it is. So I can actually park the car again. Yeah.
No fun. That's when you got to make make the kids' Halloween costumes early.
Yeah, well,
you're a robot, and you're a robot,
and the whole house is a robot.
Exactly.
Yeah, because there's that much cardboard. You can actually like dress the whole house up in a costume. I reckon it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to, though, real quickly, just at the head of the show. Why not do it at the head of the show? Okay. But I did want to say thanks to Mel for setting it up for me to be able to talk to the guys as they were in Budapest. It was a little bit of tricky scheduling there because you got to remember, me and Jared have a very limited window of time that is convenient for both of us to talk to each other. and then you throw in trying Europe
and
trying to do it during their business hours, which meant I was doing the podcast that recording interview session at 8:30 in the morning, which was 5:30 p.m. for them. So it's like their workday was already over, and
yours is just starting.
Yeah, so that was a
European time is awkward. Well, I do another podcast called the Write the Docs podcast, and we have we've got me, someone from the west coast of the US, and someone from Berlin. So just have a guess how hard that is to actually.
Well, that's the same thing whenever we have Sven come on, because he's that same time period. So he winds up when we do our normal podcast session recording.
It's like 12 o'clock.
Yeah, midnight for him. Yeah.
It's rough. I mean, luckily we have a guy on that podcast that doesn't mind actually staying up late, because if he was like not a night owl, we'd be screwed. Like, I don't know how we'd make it work.
Yeah,
one of us, it just had to be a rotating roster of people like having a really bad night basically and staying up.
Hey, did you happen to check out that unboxing video of Jurassic Park?
Oh, no, the one that had been in storage for like 17 years.
Well, here's what I didn't. Yeah, well, for those that don't know the story, the brief story, I believe I'm getting this correct, because I read it a while ago and then I watched the video recently. But it was that somebody had done some work for somebody in terms of, I don't know if it was doing their game room or whatever, but the person was purchasing pinball machines. And as a gift, they bought an additional machine for the guy that was doing all this work. But then before they could give it to him, there was some major falling out between them. Feelings got hurt, if you will. And the guy just is like, I'm not talking to you anymore.
Oh, okay.
Well, the person that bought the machine just kept it in its box for the day that the guy came to pick it up.
Right.
He was never picking it up. And so all these years later, 25 years later, finally they were like, I don't know if the person, the homeowner had died or whatever, but as they were getting rid of stuff, they contacted the guy and they were like, look, we still have your machine. If you don't want it, it's getting put out onto the sidewalk for the trash man.
Oh.
And so he reluctantly picked it up, accepted it, but again, wanted no part of this thing, basically, and sold it relatively cheap. I don't know what the sales number was, but the person that bought it, of all people, Brad from VP Cabs.
Oh, right.
Because Brad is a new venture there in Ohio. I think they're calling it Pinball Garage, and I gotta say their logo is sweet, because it looks like an old hot rod, but the wheels are pinballs.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a really cool, and they're wearing the t-shirts in the video, so that's how I was able to see that. But yeah, they're opening up a
I see it. I just did a Google search for it then.
Yeah, they're doing cool. They're opening up an arcade that I think they're saying they're going to have 60 machines set up, pinball machines. So anyway, it was like, hey, that's Brad. He's doing the unveil. So yeah, they get this Jurassic Park. It's never been opened. It's brand new in box. They had a lot of warnings from people going, oh, it's going to be utter just trash inside. But he was promised that the thing had been stored in climate control conditions. Goes through, opens this thing up. It's beautiful.
It's just like it was fresh right out of the box.
It's barely even got any dust on it. They found one spider web, and that was it in terms of bugs. The only issues you might say was the rubber was cracked.
Perished,
on the tips of like on the flippers. It was on the flipper tip. It was really cracked, but elsewhere it wasn't. So even the rubber wasn't in terrible shape. But what cracked me up was as they're unboxing this thing, of course, they're documenting it all.
Yeah.
And being careful with how they unwrap it. And at one point he goes, yeah, so at this point we could completely repack this thing up and put the straps back on and sell it as new in box. And I'm like, but why?
Why would you do that? Yeah. But I mean, if you're going to do that, you should have just sold it on.
Well, you shouldn't have done an opening box video.
Because it's kind of like there's proof on the internet that it's not exactly fresh out of the box.
Yeah. But it was interesting because he was like pointing out how like a lot of people have had to repaint their T-Rexes, and here was a brand new mint T-Rex. That a lot of people have had to powder coat repowder coat the launch gun,
Huh?
and here it was, just not a mar on it, absolutely perfect. Also interesting to see what it was packed with. All the paperwork was perfect.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't crinkly,
Crisp white.
cracky or crispy or whatever. It felt. You said it felt like new
Brand
paper.
new.
So
I think the thing with those pinball machines is they pack them up for export as well. So when they pack them, they don't muck around. Like they're really well sealed. They're really well environmentally
right, but
protected.
if it's not kept in if it's just kept in somebody's garage that's moist conditions, humidity,
Oh yeah, it'll start
metal's
rusting.
still going to rust.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
things are going to break down. That wasn't the case at all.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, it's an interesting video. I recommend everybody go check that video out just to see. I mean, do any of you remember a Data East machine being new in box and unpacking?
No,
I don't.
I would have played one that was new out of the box.
Sure.
But I would have played a Jurassic Park that came out of the box. I've never seen it out of the box though.
So here, the biggest mystery that they were scared to death of was, what were the boards going to look like?
Oh yeah,
because this thing was packed with the batteries.
Oh dear,
in place.
Yeah,
perfect. Not a single batteries had not exploded. Not a single ounce of corrosion anywhere.
Wow.
And I guess it's the kind of battery that was packed with, instead of just a regular NiCad. I forget what I don't know. He explains what the deal is of why these batteries survived as long as they did. Of course, they didn't fire up the machine with those batteries. They popped them out, and we're gonna put in some new ones. But yeah, no, and sure enough, they didn't put the legs on. They just had it up on their dolly, so it wasn't even raked properly. It was just
right
flat. But flick the switch and
came up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I remember that. See the
followed by the immediate
as the head starts moving. Yeah, the good old BSMT, which apparently stands for Brad Schmidt stereo BSMT technology. Brad Schmidt stereo technology, which is BSMT 2000.
Okay.
On that era of Dutteries, because Brad Schmidt did all the audio engineering for it, so they named it after him. I only found that out recently.
The interesting thing too is that, I mean, I don't know if you've ever come across a Jurassic Park in real world conditions. Something about them makes them one of the loudest tables you'll ever hear in an arcade.
Because of the vibrator in it, the rocker.
No, it's just the music, everything about it. It just overpowers every machine around it. And they fire this thing up and it translates in the video. They're like, wow, that's loud. So no, it's a loud machine. And that's in terms of what's coming out of the speakers.
That's just the stock speakers in it too. Imagine if you put the flipper fidelity speakers in the thing. You blow your brains out with it.
Yeah.
And the thing is that back then that because of that sound system, it was all MIDI. And because of that, it's just really on the louder side of things, I think, rather than having MP3s or like the digital compression system that Bell and Williams used, because that was like real audio downsampled a lot, so it didn't quite have the impact that MIDI straight out of the machine had.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a pretty cool thing to view. It was like 25 minutes long. I was like, am I really going to sit through this? And I sat through it.
And you did.
I did, because it was like, ooh, what's next? So.
And the cool thing is when you unbox something like that, you get all the promotional plastics in it. So that's pretty cool. They're actually, I've got a few of those from back in the early 2000s. And I got a Theatre of Magic one. I've got a Pinball 2000 pin droid. Or I'm an official pit droid keyring, which is pretty cool. But they go for $25 on eBay. Like, it's ridiculous. So, wow, I guess I might sell them.
It even came with a Jurassic Park poster.
A theatrical trailer poster.
Yes, except for it wasn't printed on what they would put in the movie theaters. They made mention that it's a pretty thin piece of poster. And of course, any piece of paper that's been tightly wound for 25 years
stays like that.
Stays like, I mean, they're unfurling. It's like, there ain't no way you're relaxing that. I mean,
No, it's basically the only way you can relax it is put it through a laminator and lock it in place.
Or lock it behind frame, but even then it's going to be like, you can tell the curls are going to be happening. Yeah.
It'll be fighting to go back to its original state.
Let's talk about, since we last talked, we had it was fun. I don't think you and I have had that lively of a discussion.
No, I don't think so. In the history of the show.
History of the show.
I was literally back to it when I was doing the editing on that, and I was going, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. But it's still like we were having a good old argument about things.
Good old argument about the current state of the Williams Pinball Android beta app and pricing. Since in that 2-week period of time or thereabouts, there's been all sorts of changes. I mean, Zen is clearly listening. Now, I don't know if they've necessarily changes on the Android side of things, but there's changes happening on the
zero changes.
But there's changes happening on the iOS side of things. And again, these things are going to happen for Android
eventually.
But very much right now, Android is in beta, and so there's all manner of data and scenarios that Zen is testing.
Yeah, it really is. There's A/B testing going on left and right in that app at the moment.
Yes,
I had no idea.
I have been told the Android app will be on parity with the iOS app when it goes live.
So we just need to hold our wallets closed,
right,
and then just wait.
In the meantime, let me explain some of the things that have transpired in the iOS app. First and foremost, for those of you that are complaining about, oh, what a grind it is, and oh, it's going to take forever and all this stuff, I completely maxed out all 7 tables in 16 days.
16 days.
16 days. I played daily challenges every day. I did not always complete the daily challenges because sometimes, like, I'm sorry, but 1 ball on Party Zone and 1 ball on Junkyard are brutal.
Yeah, they're horrible.
They are. Those are not easy tables to control the ball on, and yeah. So there was plenty of times where I didn't get, say, the 15 stars, that I stopped at 10, and I eventually, like, once I got the 3rd challenge open, for the most part, by having, in order to play the 3rd challenge, you have to have 3 stars on your tables. And once I had like 2 or 3 tables 3-starred, it was much easier to collect table parts, obviously, because you have all that many more times. And I was able to 3-star the rest of them probably really within two cycles.
I think that's how it works a lot of the time with sort of tiered achievements like that. Once you just chip away enough to get access to that extra tier, you start to burn it down. It was the same in like, if we use Skyforce as an example, that shoot 'em up I used to play. Like, you do your 1-star, you do your basic or your easy levels, and you got very little stars for doing that. But then you unlock the next level of difficulty, and you got more. And then when you get up to like the 4th level, stars are just raining from the heavens. You know, and you've got very little problem upgrading your craft and all that at that point.
What I didn't even think to do until the final 2 days of me playing, I didn't unlock the 4th challenge. Now, in order to do that, it costs 100 Zen coins. And I'd been hoarding my Zen coins, but I had like 150, 160 of them.
Oh, well.
And because I just didn't know what else I would need to be spending on it. And somebody all of a sudden posted on the threads, oh yeah, I completed everything, and they'd said that they'd unlocked it. And I went, screw it, I'm doing it. So I paid my 100 coins, did that. Now I have 4 daily challenges to rip through. So that completely sped up the process. No problem.
No, for sure. Yeah.
In terms of cost of maxing out the tables, it costs us 10 Zen coin for that final promotion.
10. It's 10. 100 on Android at the moment, so you can see how unbalanced it is.
Well, what I've realized, you guys are getting multiplied by 10 on everything.
Yeah.
So it's 30.
It's like, what is it? 300 to upgrade and 3,000
for you to upgrade.
So they've had a multiplication factor of 10.
Yes.
So
everything is multiplied by 10 for you.
Yeah. Yay.
Unfortunately, the multiplication doesn't work on the earning side.
No, it really doesn't. Oh boy, Jesus. It is just well, yeah, definitely not. Like I'm out of Zen coins at the moment. I can't even
Right.
I can't do anything. Yeah, I'm in
So then the
jail.
other question was, well, what happens? Because this is when I was doing the beta, um, getting my final collection of table parts took forever because I was kept on getting other tables parts.
Parts.
But I'm like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't need those parts anymore. There's nothing to do with them. Well, suddenly for the last two tables, I was only earning those two tables parts.
Ah,
And if I wasn't getting a part from that, I was only getting tickets. So I was just getting a buttload of tickets and the table parts. And
that's
like I
cool.
said, within 2 cycles, boom, I maxed out the other two tables because it was
Well,
just like that's
yes.
all I was getting.
If you're getting that, yeah. If
Yeah.
you're actually getting targeted parts and also tickets, well, then yeah,
So it
fine.
looks like Zen addressed that question of what would be happening.
That's good because that was a little bit of a pain. Like you don't really want to receive duplicate parts for a table you don't have, and that's going to translate well when they start releasing more titles. Sort of,
Which, if you listen to the previous podcast, they mentioned tables on the mobile app, day and date with PC and console.
and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
So
if you're playing the daily challenges every day, chances are you'll pretty much be able to get to star level 2 instantly by
yeah,
upgrading, and then you'll have access to the game just as normal. So
yeah,
essentially you'll have a free game on launch day,
yeah.
which is not bad at all.
Not
Now I
bad at
need
all.
to I need to clarify a few things that
Yeah.
I said about the graphics and look and feel of the tables that
Okay.
I was originally looking at the beta. The more I look at them and the more I played them, the more I can see. It's probably because it's on a smaller screen and it doesn't have quite as much like DX11 effects, of course, as
Mhm.
the PC version. But no, there's GI lighting, which I wasn't aware of before in my initial play of there, and it dims and it flashes. And the I think that was the biggest thing that I sort of became aware of. Is like, wow, okay, so yeah, like the playfield's dimming. It's not as apparent as it is on Steam, but it's like, oh yeah, like it's just dropped the lights. And certainly on Medieval Madness, it's very noticeable because they've sort of made that table kind of dark.
Yeah.
And you can really see it when it dims the lights on there. So yeah, I mean that's something that I think Farsight only managed to sort of half implement in the last couple of seasons. And it didn't affect the shadows and everything. It was just like turn off the lights, turn it back on again.
Right.
So I mean that's a big deal. And then you've got things like the what was the other thing I noticed that was different? It was just the something about the lighting. It was just heaps more dynamic than like if you compare it to TPA, and it's because I think it's just the way they do the light sourcing on Android. It just seems to be really, really precise in the way that it actually casts light, rather than a little bit generic, like it was in TPA. So those are two things I wanted to provide an addendum to, and this is in the beta. So as they go along, it's only going to get better. So. Yeah,
I
I
should
think I
do,
think it was actually the problem it was just like the freemium model was just overshadowing everything for me. It was just tainting my entire opinion of the game.
and that's what a lot of the discussions were, where I just kind of was like, you guys are, you're not seeing the forest for the trees.
Mm,
It's getting so hung up on the currency and the grinding that you have to do and completely ignoring the game itself,
mm,
and what's going on there. And that's why I've been making a point in the threads of just saying how quickly, look, if you're thinking that 16 days is a long time to grind,
it's not.
I've been playing Clash Royale for over 2 years. That is a game. That is a game where it works on it's freemium. You can pay, and it does this dual currency thing.
Hmm.
With them, it's coins and diamonds,
Hmm.
and so you can buy all this stuff so you can more quickly upgrade and everything. But you're opening treasure chests and you're earning cards, and you're trying
Okay.
to max level all of your cards. And each time a level increases, so does the cost to max it out, or for the next stage.
Yeah.
Getting to the 13 is the highest level. Getting cards to that level 13, within your deck, because you build a deck, you have 8 cards. I have 5 of the 8 cards that I use maxed, and those other 3, I'm either 1 or 2 levels away from maxing out. I've been playing it for 2 years, people.
2 years. Wow.
And I still have not maxed out 8 cards in total.
Wow. That's like only 8 cards and you still haven't got there. Wow.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about grinding? And I'm in
That's
a guild.
grind.
We're doing wars. We're doing, we're trading. You can trade cards with other people daily, donate cards. I'm doing all of that. And
you still can't crack it.
No.
Wow.
So if you want to talk about grinding, I'm sorry, but 16 days is nothing. That's a blink. That's a gift.
that's essentially like, 3 weeks on the train to and from work for me.
Yeah.
And that's probably a couple of goes, like a couple of resets as well.
And again, I didn't do any resetting.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't always reach all 15 stars per daily challenge.
Yeah.
So if you have even a modicum of skill, and you're only getting the 5 stars is relatively simple.
10 is a little. Sometimes I've had to restart at 10. Yeah.
There's been times where oh god, yeah. Black Rose is one of those that you either score really well or really bad.
And you've got to certainly on Black Rose, and I think even Fishtails to an extent as well. You've really got to think very carefully if it's like a survival challenge. You've got to be on point. You can't be bricking shots because it will take you right up to the wire if you do.
Can't be bricking shots, and you got to be careful about sometimes starting multi-ball is the wrong thing to do based on how much time you have left.
Mm-hmm. It's monster fish. If you can do monster fish, that's probably better if you're short on time.
Yeah, on Fishtails, I found out that doing long cast over and over, maxing it to 5 million per long cast, and then just spamming that is a lot of times better than any other shot on the entire table.
Yeah, that's true. It's actually a very lucrative shot that you just don't realize until you actually start spamming it.
Yeah,
and it's something that if I ever see a Fishtails in real life, I'll be spamming the hell out of it in tournaments for sure.
It is one of those shots though that if you miss it bad.
Yeah,
and so you'll finally get into that groove and you'll hit 6, 7 in a row, and you're like, yeah, and then all of a sudden you can't hit it to save your life.
Yeah, you can, and you're done. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, Getaway, I don't know what is wrong with me. I can't shoot those loops at all.
Oh, the inner loop, me neither. I can't dial it in.
The left and right orbit, I should say, the orbits.
Oh, really? You can't get them
on PC. Not a problem. I can do it on mobile. Oh my god, I cannot find the sweet spot. Cannot find the sweet spot. That was when I'd see a Getaway as a challenge, I'd just go,
this is gonna be bad.
I couldn't get the scores going. I just couldn't.
That's another one. You're right. That unless you basically you really, I think it's a race to multi-ball on that one. If you're in a survival challenge, you've just got to get to multi-ball. I've noticed too that it shows the level of ROM integration that Zen has because. In a survival challenge, how it always ejects the ball for you automatically and does a soft plunge, so you can't exploit certain parts of the table. Well, it'll always soft plunge onto that bank of targets that sits right against the supercharger ramp, but it doesn't trigger them ever. So it does not trigger them ever. It doesn't actually award you a value when it hits them, and the ball hits them at a rate that would actually trigger them, like with velocity that would trigger them. So they've blanked out that bank of targets when you launch the balls somehow. So that's some serious ROM integration there that they got going on.
I'm going to circle back around some other things I've noticed about ROM behavior within the game. But first, I want to do the one other thing that's changed with iOS. And I'm not seeing it because I've maxed the tables. But plenty of people are reporting that they loaded up the app, and all of a sudden, right there at the top, it's saying, would you like to buy all the tables? Special offer. Basically, it's offering you 2 days in which to fork over the money. And price-wise, people are saying, I haven't been able to get a definitive price on it, but I want to say it's like $25, something like that.
Yeah.
So
which is a little bit more than what a regular Zen table is, but that's fine.
It's a little bit more, but it's not monstrously more.
It's not $10 compared to like $2 or
Right.
$3. Yeah, yeah, and that's
So
fine. But
again,
look,
Zen listened, and they're trying to. Now, here's the thing: some people are seeing it, some people aren't. I just read today one
yeah,
person who said they saw it on their. They loaded the game onto their son's iPad. They
mhm.
saw it, but it wasn't on his device.
They've been AB'd. They're AB segmenting. Yeah, the rollout of this, like they are just. It seems to me that we can expect heaps more of this behavior from Zen. The fact that they
Right.
are heavily segmenting players. I can guarantee you that on Android, it may be that everyone has actually got the same segmentation, because there's so many people there saying that, yeah, level 3 is all 3,000 stars, 3,000 tickets to upgrade, and like no one has actually come back, because I asked the question because I had a suspicion after the last time we talked. I went, no, are we actually being segmented? And no one's come back saying, no, it's cheaper for me. So it seems that everyone who is using the beta, essentially everyone who's an early adopter, has all been in that pricing tier at least.
Right.
And because we're in beta, we haven't actually seen that call to action banner that you're seeing on iOS yet. But I'm sure that when it goes out of beta, we actually did get an update, I think, to the app a couple of days ago, in Android, I think. Or maybe, because the problem is that there's a mixture of iOS and Android feedback coming into the Android thread.
Yeah, I know.
And it's really, really confusing.
I'm guilty of it myself.
Yeah, it's like, and I think the people are going, oh yeah, I'm seeing a call to action banner, and it's like, yeah, no one here in the Android thread is seeing that. So like, it's great to hear that this is what's happening, but we should probably keep the chatter between the two in the apps,
or at least, at the top of your post, say iOS user.
observation. Yeah, iOS observation.
Because
Yeah,
I think it
like
is
that.
important also for the Android people to see what's
next.
What's
it's the future.
Next. Exactly.
Essentially, they're seeing into the future of what the app will probably evolve into. Because I think it's definitely. I don't think Zen would ever go, hey, look, we're going to really be like, we're going to be grafting Android users into their life compared to iOS. There's just no sense in doing that.
No.
So yeah, it'll happen. We just need to be patient, and until then, we'll just keep on grinding, because the advantage that Android users have, and this is probably why they've done it, is that when the app switches over from beta to production, we won't lose any of those entitlements that we've got.
Right.
They'll stay with us. And I think that's probably the reason why they've gone really harsh, and they've gone for 10 times the multiplier, because they know that, if there was anything weird going on in the Android beta that they couldn't stop, then they would have had no backup plan for that.
Right.
So they probably had to, in hindsight, they probably had to go really, really anal with it and really, really tight, because it was their insurance policy, just in case something went wrong. Yeah. So
they also, I noticed they were playing with some things in the skills app portion in the multiplayer, which I want to talk to you a little bit about your matchup mode, if you have touched upon that, which is not in the iOS version.
Okay. Well,
but first of all, what I want to say is, so previously what we had was, within the skills app, you have what's called practice tournaments and then pro tournaments. Pro tournaments are the cash money tournaments. Cash tournaments, or practice tournaments, are just the tickets that are inside the app. And everything had been Medieval Madness. The pro tournament was 1 ball, and the practice tournaments, there was a 1 ball and a 3-minute challenge.
Okay.
So then the other day, so I'm in the midst of the pro challenge and going for the leaderboard, and all of a sudden it switched on me. The leaderboard didn't switch, but it went from being 1 ball to 3-minute high score.
In the middle of the game?
In the middle, not in the middle of the game itself, but in the middle of the tournament.
Oh.
And that wrecked me.
Because
I got really good at keeping 1 ball alive. I'd started to know what my safe shots were, had a routine of what I needed to shoot, and everything was fine. 3-minute, where it's unlimited balls,
you just fire.
Completely different strategy.
Yeah, you just risk everything. Doesn't matter. Go for the riskiest shots.
Well, and basically what it means is spamming the drawbridge.
Yeah,
because that's kind of the quickest way
to get your points up.
Unless you're really good at hitting ramp shots and can get not just get, say, catapult and joust multi-pole, but getting also damsel
And then Royal
and
Madness.
peasant and getting trolls, so that because then each shot you make is worth like 1.5 million.
Yeah. And you basically got everything is lit. And those trolls, I find they're not nearly as dangerous as they are in real life compared to in the Zen, like in the level 1 and 2 and possibly 3 physics models.
Yeah.
Like the 3-star physics model. Like you can smash away them all day and they're fine.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to drain off them.
Yeah. So to say the least, it went from me being able to beat most of the people that I was competing against to all of a sudden it's, hey, who can get to 15 million first?
Oh, yeah.
And I just watched my ranking go blip, 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 and I'm like, oh man. But in the same time, I noticed in the practice mode, all of a sudden there was 3 different machines that were available.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So they're going to, start integrating, adding other tables. 2 days later, it was back to purely medieval madness. So they're even mucking about in there and trying some things out. And what they pointed out in the in the prior podcast was that, especially with skills, you want a very narrow lane for people to travel in for playing, because you want to focus all the players to one location so that there's a lot of players to play with. If you have a ton of options, then everything is spread out, it's fragmented. You're hurting for players. And that's a big problem within skills. If you don't have other players to play against, it becomes painfully boring and sometimes frustrating, because all you need is 2 matches so that you can move the leaderboard. And if nobody's getting matched against you and you're seeing other scores leapfrog yours, you're like, what the heck is going on? I'm not even getting the chance to get into the fight. So yeah, you definitely you need all those players. So people were commenting then that on Android, in the matchup side of things, there was all sorts of frustration going on, because I guess, and you can tell me if you've seen this, but all the tables have the same score that you're trying to go against or something.
I didn't notice that when I played it. I was just bored and I was like not getting any really interesting table parts. So I thought, when I first loaded up the beta and tried it, the tournament thing didn't seem to be working. So I thought I'll go back again and try it again and see what happened. And it was. So I spent, I think it was 25 tickets, which in the current times 10 pricing model is like a real painful spend at the moment, because it's like 25 tickets will unlock another like 3 challenges for you. So I went in there and unlocked it, and then I think it was a time challenge, and I wasn't expecting. I believe
this is a 3-minute challenge, is what they're saying.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to expect. So I started playing. It was Medieval Madness. I thought, okay, I'll just start flipping around, and then I saw this score of the other person just racing. It was rolling over like nothing else. It was counting up like to 1 million pretty much every, I don't know, 30 or 40 seconds. And I was going, what is this guy doing? And it completely threw me, and I just bombed out. Obviously, he was going for the castle over and over and over again.
Right.
Because that's where you'll be getting the big points. So he was just trapping the ball, shooting the drawbridge, trapping the ball, shooting the drawbridge over and over and over again. But I just, it left a sour taste in my mouth, so I haven't gone back since, because it wasn't like, they didn't explain what it was about. It's just like, hey, here's a tournament. It's 25 tickets. Go and do that now.
Because I think what somebody was commenting to me about was that it was 3 minutes, but like 25 million was the score that you needed to beat. But it was 25 million on the getaway, 25 million on Junkyard.
25 million? No.
And they were saying that like on the getaway, or was it even the getaway? Oh no, excuse me, Attack from Mars. They go, Attack from Mars, you launch the ball and you just walk away. Because it's going to constantly launch and you're going to be at 25 million, no problem. But yeah, Junkyard, good luck getting 25 million at all, especially in 3 minutes.
25 million on Junkyard is a really good score. Like, it's like you've got to get into like, destroy Bob to get 25 million.
Right.
Pretty much. So a lot of jackpots.
Are you believing that the players that you're being matched up against are real players, or are they bots?
I've only played it once. I don't have a large amount of data to select, but I think the person I went up against was Rob3D, and I have a feeling he's a real user.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's an Android user. I've seen him before, so I've got a feeling that it's real.
Okay.
Because there's probably not a very large subset of players in there, but it seems that it's asynchronous. Like somebody goes in there, does their game, it records the score, and then when you go up against them, it just plays back that score,
which would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense.
It's essentially what Farsat was trying to do and failed to do.
Yeah,
because they did the same thing, and it was kind of really cool. But yeah, it's done right here.
Yeah, Farsights would have been really cool if there was people that were actually playing.
But I'm not even talking about the skills aspect of it. I'm just talking about the head-to-head mode they tested.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was like,
getting a matchup in head-to-head was just like, is anybody out there? Hello,
Bueller, anybody?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough, but this is much better. Like, I think I will do it again once it's out of beta and I have a little bit more currency to play around with, because it's an extra way of getting levels, and it's an extra way of getting, a little bit of, it's a different way of playing. And this is, again, what Zen is all about. It's about an ecosystem, and it's different ways to play pinball in an engaging way. And this is certainly one of them. Like, it will be good when it actually gets out of beta.
See, I really wish that while it was in beta, I was playing the skill side while it was in beta, and there was only like 3 of us in there. But that didn't affect the prize. The prize was still third place gets $1, second place gets $2, and first place get $3. And I was just like, come on, people, just play a match. If you just play a match, you'll be on the leaderboard and you'll get that buck. It's the easiest buck you can win, in a game. And there were sometimes where it was like, oh man, I've got scores posted and there's not a single person playing against me. I'm not even gonna win.
Yeah, that's just the worst.
Now there's been an explosion of players. I mean, there's a lot of players that are doing the cash game, so yeah, it makes it a lot more difficult to do the easy money.
Yeah, it's not easy anymore.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. So yeah, I think by the time this podcast comes out,
which might be Christmas,
it'll be fine. I suspect there's only a couple more weeks max left to the beta in Google.
Well, they're not really. A lot of people in the Android beta on Digital Pinball fans are saying that no one's in there from Zen. Like, there's really zero representation from them in, like, commenting in the thread.
We didn't have that much in the iOS.
Oh, really?
No.
They might just be reading and then responding without even, like, confirming or doing
basically
whatever.
All of a sudden we'd get a notification saying, hey, there was a new update. That would be about the extent of it. Yeah. So I think right now they're just purely pouring over the data that they're getting from gameplay.
I think the stuff that we're saying is just anecdotal, and the data is speaking louder than words.
I was going to say, I guarantee you the data is saying way more than what anybody is saying.
And the funny thing is that probably all the things that I've said about the beta and the model and everything is being debunked by the data that I'm providing them about my usage, because I'm playing it. I am playing it every day still,
right?
And I'm resetting the challenges, because for me at the moment, it's the only way you can actually progress in the game. You got to just keep on grinding. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure the data is saying something different about my usage than what I think I am doing. So as data doesn't lie.
Data doesn't lie. Ball don't lie.
The human brain does. Yeah.
All the time.
All the time.
So I don't know if you guys have seen this commercial. I don't know if it made it to your continent there, but Toyota has re-released the Toyota Supra. It's been gone for a little while as a car, and they reintroduced it during our Super Bowl. So it was a big commercial, but it was basically the Supra drifting on what was an oversized pinball machine.
Oh, yeah, I've seen, well, of course the internet's here, so I've seen reference to the ad.
Right.
But it's always been when I've been traveling, so I haven't been able to watch it.
And I think the tagline at the end is something like an old favorite returns or something like that. But, tying into this whole resurgence of pinball, but it's just kind of interesting how it's like, wow, they just made it a national campaign out of pinball.
Out of pinball. That's huge, right? Yeah. Now, when's the Super Pinball machine coming out?
You know what? If anybody's going to put it out, it's going to be spooky.
Yeah,
because they're the ones that are
probably.
doing all these corporate one-off
Like,
machines.
one-offs, yeah. Imagine. I think it was on Instagram, somebody was doing some really, really slick rendered um short videos of a pinball, like rendered 3D pinball
Hmm.
shots, and it was just like it was this carnival themed pinball machine, and it was really, really good stuff. Um, I don't know what it was for. It certainly wasn't a crossover for this super ad because there's no cars in it, but
Yeah.
like it was like crazy. It had like all the action at the top of the playfield, and then it followed the ball underneath the playfield, and then showed you what was going on underneath the playfield, and shot the ball back up again. And it looked really amazing. So I've seen it a couple of times on my Instagram feed, and I watched it over and over again because it looks really good.
Some of those goings on under the table are almost more fascinating than what's going on top.
Oh yeah,
I mean, some of those habit trails that or what are they called, subways.
the subways, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like wow. Kind
There's
of nuts.
there's a lot of action going on underneath the playfield as well. Yeah, it's pretty cool to watch sometimes. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, hey folks, I think we're gonna stop there
Mm,
because why not? But
'cause
hey,
we can.
because we can, because we kind of control the show.
Yeah.
Have you headed over to Redbubble yet? If not, what's your problem? Why are you not buying a glorious BlahCade t-shirt? They
Or
come in a
mug, or
multitude of
phone
colors,
case.
or phone case, or sticker, whatever. It doesn't matter. Go check it out, won't you please? All proceeds go towards us and this show.
Yeah.
There ain't many proceeds, but we always say, hey, if you feel that what you're getting out of this show is of value, we look for support in any way, shape, or form that you can. That can be either by buying a T-shirt, that could be by donating to us via PayPal, that could be by simply going over to iTunes and leaving us a starred review.
Yeah.
That would be helpful because then that promotes us within iTunes and kicks you up the ranks a little bit.
A little bit like free advertising. We like free
Exactly. So if you
advertising.
want to go, that's you can do it completely free, not a penny dropped. Just simply taking your time to go over to iTunes and giving us a review. That would be fantastic. Yeah. You should also be following us on Twitter. That is at BlahCade. When you do that, then you get all sorts of notifications and retweets. Lately, I've followed a couple more people from Zen and have been retweeting their stuff. So, because this is how we get a lot of our news about digital pinball. It's all about following people that work on the games themselves and going, hey, they just mentioned something. Oh, what's that got to mean?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
So follow the bouncing ball, if you will.
Indeed.
And for sure, I'm saying now, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Why don't you? Why not? Because specifically, you'll get to hear this very podcast much sooner than it comes out in podcast form.
That's right. At the moment.
Yeah.
I need to find a way to automate it, and I haven't quite cracked it yet because it actually, to do it, you got to listen back through it. I guess the question is, if you're listening to this podcast, I'd like to ask you a question. Do you care about the timing points in the show? Because if you don't, it will save me literally an hour each time. So if you don't care about, if you never look at the Medium article that accompanies this post, and you never go, geez, I really like to know, like you go back to it and go, oh, where was that bit that they were talking about, how much they hate the IOP in Zen? Oh, it was at 25.43 in the episode. Cool. I'll just go and like listen to that part again. If you never do that, just let us know, because I might be doing this for no reason, and I'd like to know if no one cares. Because I'll just top and tail it and then just release it. It'll take me 10 minutes.
Boom, bam, done. Exactly.
Done.
Although something tells me you'll still post videos and stuff if it's relevant and you like it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you go nuts for no reason, and I just go, clearly Jared wanted to share.
Yeah, sometimes I do. But the thing is that because you're listening back to it, it does let you enrich the show notes, because you do actually have to listen back to it like in 30-second jumps usually. But you'll get things, oh yeah, that's right, I need to insert the video here, and you just go and find the video and insert it. So there's benefit to it, but also it's a grind doing it every week or so. So yeah, if you like it, let me know directly. And if you don't, then let me know. directly because I like the
and the easiest way to do that too with Jared is again go on Twitter, follow him at Jared Morgs, and just send him a note.
Yep.
Be like, yo, stop it, or don't get rid of it.
I like the numbers. Yeah.
I like the numbers.
I like the numbers.
But hey, if you do want to check out the medium, it's blockadepinball.com/episodes. That's where that stuff is. I know I still have not written the article wrapping up this thing here.
Yes.
The microcab. Partly because I'm still wanting to tweak one thing and I just haven't bothered to get around to it. But I really need to get on that and post that too.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, with all that being said, we shall say sayonara, bye-bye, shalom. What else we got?
See you later, mate.
Okay, that too. Okay, bye-bye, all.
Bye.